Hello all, I'd like to welcome you to the first session that Culture Central are doing. So I'm not sure if you guys know about Culture Central, but we're leading a collective voice for the arts and culture in West Midlands. And as part of Culture Central, what we've done during this situation, during COVID, is we set up a cultural response unit. And as part of the unit, we wanted to set up some workshops for networking and upskilling for any young creative artist-based freelancers or artists. And I wanted to introduce you guys to a regional industry professionalist, Jamila Walker, who will be managing the workshop today. So yeah, Jamila, if you'd like to introduce yourself as well.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm really pleased to be delivering this workshop. I am a little nervous, but I also feel like most of the stuff I've learned as a freelancer has been from other artists being really open and sharing. So I feel like it just feels like paying it forward. I'll just give you a very brief introduction to my practice. So I'm a visual artist and I use digital illustrations and photography in my work. So a lot of the points I'll be making will be very central to visual artists. I did recently run a Zoom art workshop session or Arts Connection based in Powys, and a lot of the artists were performance artists and poets. So I did do a little bit of research in that area, so that could potentially be helpful. But if you have any questions and I don't know the answer, I won't just fob them off. I will I'll find out and send it through Culture Central instead, because I don't want to blag you or anything. Oh, someone else is coming in.
No worries.
So feel free to pipe in if you don't want to ask a question vocally. Feel free to use the chat function at the bottom, because I don't want to just talk at you. I did a fine art photography degree at Derby. I also, as well as exhibiting my work, which is mainly montages, because I don't have a studio. I do sometimes borrow studios like Hot Desk and stuff like that, but I make my work digital, so it can be as big as it wants to be. Just, the only limit is my hard drive, really. So but I do a lot of community arts work, mainly for Arts for Health projects, for galleries and hospitals and things like that. I am definitely a Jill of all trades, and will because I get bored, and also I find that I don't really want to be pigeonholed, so I will take on projects that I didn't even know that I could do. But with, like, if I work for nice organisations with support, it's always really exciting to do new things. So I did some storyboarding recently for the Hive for a music video, which wasn't something I thought I was capable of doing, but I thought, well, I draw, and they asked me, so they must have faith. So that went really well. So the theme of this is managing your own projects. Now, to me, there's lots of different elements to that. So I will just be touching on the key elements that I use when I'm working and things that I've learned along the way. And hopefully they'll be accessible to you guys too. But if something doesn't make any sense or it's not relevant to you, please ask questions, because I'm more than happy to help. Oh, go. Someone have a question? I heard noises. No. Okay. But what we're going to start off with, because I don't know about you, but I am very zoomed out, and I've stared at a lot of screens and accidentally talked over people and done a really serious concentrated face, because I want people to know I'm listening to them and I'm not texting or anything. So I would like to just add a little bit of difference to the start of our workshop together, because there's going to be a lot of listening and listening to my dulcet tones, that I thought we'd start off with a drawing workshop, a drawing warm-up, just to get us going, because we're going to be sitting for a long time, so we can rotate our wrists, give them a little shake. And I am going to just give you 1 minute to draw, and you don't have to share it with the group at all unless you really want to. I'm getting my timer. Oh, stopwatch. Yeah. We've got 1 minute to draw as many birds as that you want to, that you can think of. As many birds you can think of. Go. 1 minute. They don't have to be a brilliant drawing or anything like that. Okay. 30 seconds gone. Mine's gone blank. Oh, there we go. Okay, oh, stop. I gave you 2 extra seconds. Okay, and we're going to do 1 minute of things. What did I write? Draw as many things that you have a strong smell that people don't like. So, stinky cheese, sweaty shoes, whatever you fit, wherever your mind goes. Oh God, I didn't press start, sorry. I really can't think of anything. Okay, 30 seconds left on things that have a strong smell that a lot of people don't like. Do enjoy laughing at my own jokes. And stop. And the last one is draw as many things as you can in 1 minute that have stripes.
Draw me. I've got stripes on.
Brilliant. Oh, I always have stripes on. Have I got stripes? No, I bet I do. There we go. Stripes. Oh, it's not a day that goes by I don't have stripes on. Well, I'm going to draw you then, Gurpreet. I'm drawing you. $30 to go. It's really scary because it's all just black screens. So I've got no idea. Could all be swearing at me? I assume you're not. Stop. 1 minute gone. Okay, so for the birds, I had a flamingo. I'll show you them. I had a flamingo, an eagle, a duck-billed platypus, which I don't know if actually that does count as a bird. It might be a mammal, but I thought I'd be smart. And a sparrow. And then for things that smell that people don't usually like, the strong smell of, I've got Stilton cheese, socks, and the sewer. And for stripes, I have Gurpreet and a zebra, which I forgot to put the stripes on, and curtains. Okay, so thank you. So thank you very much for that, and hopefully this Zoom session will stand out just for that, and hopefully the wonderful knowledge that I will impart on you. Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So what is quite important. So I'll give you a brief a brief overview of what I'm going to talk about. So the projects that I'm going to reference to will sort of, some things will only be relevant to some things and some things will cross over, but just so I'm being as open and relevant as possible. I'm going to talk about my experiences in artist residencies, running your own workshops, creating work for organisations that might also include running your own participatory art workshops as well, and working with other artists, participant organisations, and creative and non-creative ones. So working with organisations that might not necessarily come from a heritage or artistic background, which can add other elements to it, because there might be issues that non-creative organisations haven't considered, or isn't that important to them. So it's that sort of to-ing and fro-ing. Okay, so initially, so we did the warm-up, did my practice. Yeah, I really want to discuss self-care, because I think it's a buzzword that people are throwing out a lot. However, when you're freelance, and I've only been full-time freelance for the last 3 years, I've always been, previous to that, I was too scared to quit my non-creative job, and I've had non-creative jobs in admin or receptions for museums and art galleries. So when I finally became, just all my income was coming from commissions and workshops and things like that, I was like, I would say yes to everything. And because I was just thinking, well, it's feast. And my particular workflow was, I was really, really busy from spring to summer, and then winter was a bit quiet. And then when people got money in the tax year, the new tax year in April, then there'd be lots of work. So I would be so burnt out in the winter and so panicky, that I think that self-care is really, really important, especially if you're running workshops or projects, long-term projects with health settings, like I often am, or even if you're not, if you're working with vulnerable people, say migrants and refugees, or domestic abuse survivors and things like that, you need to be as healthy as you can mentally when you're coming into work, so you can be there for them. There's no point in draining yourself out. So, you know, having regular times that you're working, whether that's around your family, those kind of things. Like, I try not to work on weekends now, since my daughter started going to school, and that's in general working for me. Sometimes like an idea will pop in my head and I feel like I have to send an email, but in general I work from 9 till 3 when she's at school, and then I while she's making a fort or something, I'll do an hour or something, and then I'll do a little bit in the evening, and that at the moment is working out for me. But it's something that I think needs to be reassessed depending on what's going on with your life, because you might be juggling more than one project. So your personal self-care, not necessarily following somebody else's, is really important, and to be constantly evaluating that. Maybe keep a diary and things like that. Like, do you do a piece of personal work at least once a week? You know, work to your own briefs. That could be something. And art is work. You know, like a lot of people will be like, oh, well, I'll give you some exposure on my website, or can you please work for free because I'll promote, this will be good for your portfolio. I did a lot of free work at the start when I first left uni, and I regret it. And I realised that by working for free, you're creating the expectation that other creatives will work for free, and you wouldn't ask someone to come and fix your taps for free. So you can't expect someone to create artwork for you or create a project for you for free. So it's knowing your value, and it's hard, and I am rubbish about money. I am much better if it's on email, but I am getting better at valuing what I do and valuing my workload and things like that. So really being on it, like keeping a diary of when you've sent an invoice and when you're expecting money to come back in. You know, if you don't get a contract from a job, creating your own contract, even if it's just something really basic with the bullet points like deadlines, what they're expecting of you, so that you've got a record of it. And it can be flexible. It doesn't mean that you're going in there being all controlling. It means that you're valuing your work and your time. And a real key thing is, if you're doing a commission or something for somebody, to say, I don't know, it's £500 for this. However, if you want any extra small edits, I'll do those for free, maybe up to 3. And if you want any big edits that are beyond the original brief, then there'll be an extra 50 quid per change or something like that. So it's just it's really, I think a lot of it, for me, I probably spend 70% of my time doing admin, chasing things up, doing emails, updating my website, and 30% actually doing work. But once you get into a rhythm, it will just become easy to you, and it will work for whatever you're working with. So you all obviously have different backgrounds. So some of the things I'll be saying to you will be completely irrelevant or things you already know. But because I don't know what everyone's about, I'm just going to sort of touch on rough things. And if they spark a question or a query, or that's boring, we don't need to hear about that, please let me know. So, oh, I forgot. I made a very, very poor PowerPoint. And, ooh, how do you do that? Oh, that's so fun. I made a PowerPoint because I thought, oh, it'll make it interesting. You won't have to just look at my face. However, PowerPoint is really boring, I found. And I thought it isn't really necessary for this session, but I'm going to play it anyway. So there's the, oh, it's fun. So there's the original titles. I'm sorry, they're really poor. This is not a good reflection of my artwork. However, I thought if I write everything down that I'm going to talk about, then if you're like me, you'll just be reading that and not listening. And I'm going to send you notes afterwards. So you're more than welcome to make your own notes. But I'm just going to show you this just so we've got something to look at. Well, so I've just picked some random artists to share their work. Oh yeah, that's what we're doing. So yeah, an overview, we did that. The warm-up exercise, self-care, we did that. Types of projects I do. Oh yeah, PR. We'll start with PR then. So we'll look at a picture for a bit. Oh, where's this one? Oh, there it is. Yes, this is a landscape I like. There we go. We'll look at that for a bit while I talk about PR. And, okay. Oh, I can see you guys now. There we go. What was I going to say about PR? Consider how and what works for you, keeping personal and work social media separate. Okay, so yeah, I think what's brilliant about working for yourself, having a patron, being an artist of whatever kind, is that you can make your work for you and work at the times that suit you and work in the locations that suit you, because in most cases you don't have paid leave for sickness or holiday, so you might as well have certain positives that fit you and your lifestyle. And I think for me, my social media is really important because I have got work out of it, and I know organisations that I've worked with have looked at my CV and my website and things like that, and then they've also looked at my social media presence and commented that, you know, that there were certain aspects of it that were part of the decision when employing me. However, I do have a friend who is quite a very successful painter who doesn't use the internet and doesn't have a smartphone. So even though you can read a lot of the ever-changing information about social media and the algorithms and when's the best time to post things so you get the most engagement, if that doesn't suit you, if it gives you anxiety, if you don't want to be on Instagram or Facebook, or I hear the young people don't use Facebook anyway. I'm 38, so I am far from young. But you have to do what suits you. But if you're going to do it, you have to sort of have some sort of rhythm to it. You know, you might not want to have social media. You might want to you might want people to sign up to your website and a mailing list and tell those people. But whatever you do, try and be consistent. Keep the same logos on things. You don't have to be super formal in your the information that you give across. Because I know when I went to university and we were taught professional practice. Oh, I forgot that. They taught us to write in the third person about yourself, and however I see other artists talking in the first person. So it's whatever suits you, but be consistent, because you are building some sort of a brand, even though that sounds really depressing. So even if you just allocate a day, an hour a month, an hour a week or something, you can go, am I happy with my signature on my website, on my emails? Do I need an out of office reply that says I only answer emails on certain days? But it's a process that is always moving, and you'll see other people's things and think, oh, I like that element of it. I will adapt it for my own, because we do live in a postmodern society and there are no original ideas, but it's also not great to just blatantly copy other people either. So yes, so you don't have to post every day on social media, but have some regularity of some kind. Also help if you're on your social media, which I'm sure all you guys know more about than me, is share other artists' work, so that your output isn't just, look what I'm doing. I've got an exhibition, I've got a workshop, I've got a commission. Sometimes it's about a two-way thing, but also be mindful that you're not presenting every little thing about you. The world doesn't have to know what you ate all the time, unless it's relevant to your work. I mean, a little bit of who you are. There's a lot of grudging artists and makers photo where they go, I haven't featured on here for a long time, so here's a picture of my face. This is my studio. So, you know, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. If you get new followers, send them a little message, say thank you for following me, and try and say something genuine about their work. Okay. Oh, crap. We've got 15 minutes left. Okay, I'm going to move on quickly. When you're sending emails to people, because PR is like a big wide thing, it's everything that how you present yourself publicly. So it's not just your online presence, which I suppose is more relevant at the moment because we're in lockdown. However, hopefully this will not be the forever, so there are going to be times when we meet people in real life. You know, you don't have to be all weird and networking and be like, hi, my name's Jamila and I could do this for you. But, you know, if you can, go to private views, just be seen at places, just go to things that feel genuine, that feel fun to you. Let's look at another picture for a while. I've lost my cursor. No notes up there. I don't know where it is. We might have to look at this picture the whole time because I've lost my cursor. Yeah, we might. Okay. Okay, proposals. So I would imagine all of you at some point will need to write a proposal. I think even before you start writing a proposal, sorry, I'm being very irritating clicking my pen. Write a rough version first, I would, with your outcomes, your aims, and how you're going to evaluate things. Because a lot of the time when you're working with, if they're community-based projects, the evaluation is super important and often really hard to gather, especially on short-term projects. If you're lucky enough to work for an organisation or with a group of people for, 6 months to a year or longer, you will get to know people. And people are very fed up of being asked their opinions. So maybe vox pops, or using voice memos all the time, or getting people to draw their feelings or draw what they liked about things, and being flexible within that. So it's all very well when you write a proposal saying, this is what I want to do, this is the outcomes I want to get. But then is there any point in delivering something like that if you already know what's going to happen? So you need to express that you're flexible to change, you're open to things moving on, people's input making things change, but you have some sort of structure as well. I hope that makes sense. When you're writing your proposal, if you're not a keen typist, or you don't feel like you can convey yourself that well in the best way, then you can always contact the organisation and ask them if there's other formats they might accept. A lot more people are accepting films instead, or slideshows. So, but whatever you do, I'd follow instructions. If it says only send us a CV with 2 sheets on a PDF, then please don't send them a Word file, because I haven't done it very often, but we've occasionally worked on projects where we've employed other artists, and if they haven't followed basic instructions, we haven't read their proposal. Because especially if there's lots of people that have applied, you're going to be like, well, we said it had to be in black and you've done it in white. Wow. And have more than one CV. Like, I have probably 7. I've got one that is my general artist one exhibitions and residencies, and the one award I have that I'm very proud of. And I have another one that is just commission work, another one that is just illustrative work, and I just regularly update those, and it's muy fun, I swear. But at least when I know where I've got something to apply for, I can just send it off. I don't have to edit it every time. And also include pictures or links to videos, because people are looking at a lot of CVs, and if yours can stand out and be part of the brief as well, that's excellent. But whatever your presentation to the world is, whether it's through your emails and your website, and, you know, just be genuine, because people can definitely tell when you're not. And a lot of artists are shy and they make work so they don't have to talk to the world. So, you know, you don't want to be dreading having to do things you don't necessarily want to do. And if you don't want to answer emails every day, don't have them on your phone or something, you know, just use your computer and use it like maybe once or twice a week, because I find the growing inbox a little bit intimidating, but I haven't yet made the plunge of deleting Outlook off my phone. Okay. I did briefly talk about contracts, didn't I? Where is my... Oh, we're looking at the same picture. This is very depressing. Yeah, contracts and invoices. So ideally, whoever you're working for will have a contract of their own. But if they don't, you can make up a very loose agreement that suits you both. If it's a long project, if they haven't already addressed this, it might be good to get paid in sections, like a little bit of money just before you start to get materials and get developing, and then maybe half the money in the middle, and then maybe a third towards the end, and then maybe the last 5-10% if you have to do an evaluation. Because often, especially with big organisations like councils, it can take a really long time to set you up as a supplier, and then you have to get a purchase order, which is really tedious. And you can't live on fresh air, and you have bills to pay, and you deserve to be paid for your time. And I've found, it's not happened very often, but when I have been not paid on time, or it's been months and months to the point where I was getting so sad about it, I just was like, just keep it, just keep the money. But because it was just, I felt like I was begging for my own cash, and that's a horrible position to be in. But the more creatives and freelancers just are open and honest and professional, then we'd expect should be treated as such. But, you know, still continue to be polite and concise within your communication. And that's why I prefer emails, because they're dated, and you can say, well, you said this on such and such a date, so if that's changed, that's fine. Can I have a new date? You know, we can be polite, but we also don't have to be walked all over. So yeah, always request at least approximate time frames, and keep a log of them in your diary and stuff. I said that already. And you could set up regular meetings as well. You could say, oh, shall I check in with you, organisation, see how you feel the project's going. Yes, feast or famine. Some people are working, what it seems like they're working all the time, but maybe they're just posting on the internet to keep their end in, and it doesn't always mean that they're working loads. It might be just they're telling you about the same project but at different stages. So sometimes it can be feast or famine, and you feel anxious about saying no to work because you don't know if you're going to have a project later, or that they'll never employ you again. But you do have to be mindful of your burnout, and also saying yes to work that you feel passionate about. So like, that's not always an option. However, if you feel like I'm never working for McDonald's, that's okay to say that. But, you know, sometimes you might feel obliged to do certain projects because you need the money or you need the exposure. But, you know, one of the few benefits of, the many benefits of having a creative job is that you have a lot more choice in certain areas, and that's something that should be valued, and I think. Respect your time, blah, blah, blah. Oh, log hours. I've only recently started doing this on a project that I'm working on it with the Cube and taking part a charity, an advocacy charity. But we wrote in our proposal to the council how much time we thought we'd spend on it. But then, and this was for the pilot of the project, and then we actually logged our actual hours. Every time you sent an email, every time Dropbox wasn't working or you were doing some photoshopping, so you can really get a real true grasp of how you spend your time, and is there certain things that could be delegated somewhere else. You know, a lot of artists might have a skill in one area and you have a skill in another area. You could help each other out. I know loads of artists that hate technology, and I don't really like social, certain aspects, but I will help someone else if they'll show me something, like TaskRabbit for artists. Yeah, and work out approximately what you're going to, if you've been asked to find your own way, your own artist fee, try and work out in your head how, you know, or on paper, how long things are going to take you, and so that you can work out a suitable hourly rate. And the Arts Council website's really good for being charged for what you, charging the right amount of money for your time. Because it's not just the time delivering things or making things, it's all your experience before, the fact that you might have a degree and you still paying off loans, and all those things are a factor in the fact that are a factor in your fee. You know, you deserve it. Allow extra time for stuff. So even if someone says your deadline is Friday, try and get your work done by Thursday, Wednesday, just in case there's any extra issues. I found by making a lot of art films over lockdown, because I haven't been able to deliver in person, I found that making the film has been pretty tedious, but editing it, getting better at editing, so that's not taking so long. But I found formatting it sometimes takes a whole day, because I live in Shropshire and the internet is appalling around here, so things can take a bit longer. So always factor in a bit of cushioning time. Blah 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 blah. Delegate where possible. If you're working on a project that there's volunteers, you know, ask them to help in ways that suit them, so that they're getting something out of their volunteering. Maybe they like doing filing or things like that, or maybe I find that when I used to volunteer, I wanted to learn a skill, I wanted to get some free training, as well as provide a service and be helpful. But it's also, you want it to be a two-way street. You don't want people to be bored and not feel valued. It's only 5 minutes. Okay, I'm really not doing great. Okay. Oh, if you're delivering workshops, whether they're in person or in Zoom, on Zoom, I think if you're working with the same people regularly, it's always nice to have a little book to remember people's names, maybe the things they like, especially if you're working with vulnerable people, you know, to taking a person-centered approach, remembering things about them. I mean, it'll happen naturally, you know, but if you're like me, I'm terrible with names, I might just write it down, because I think it'll make me feel more confident, because I don't want to be calling people mate, because it won't really come across as it'll come across clunky from me. Oh, pictures. Yeah, if whatever project you're doing, try and document it. And if you can't have people's faces in it, maybe get them to sign those photo consent forms, or just get the back of their head and their hands if they're okay with that sort of thing. But lots of documentation, film, it's always good to be able to, and even if no one's asked you to write an evaluation after a project, if you write even just a couple of paragraphs to evaluate how you felt about things, what went well, what didn't go well, these will be brilliant information that you can feed from for future proposals and things like that. So it's always good to have good figures and lots of people arriving, but a mini project portfolio that you write after a workshop or a project or a residency, it's a really good way of keeping a track of what you're up to. Can I talk for longer? Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing. Or could you do that? I can't. I can't. I've lost my cursor. I'm really sorry. There was more pictures to show you. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we'll just stop sharing. It's upsetting me looking at that picture now. Where did we get to? Yeah, I would say as well, join networks like this one, because lots of people are more than happy to share. Oh,
Oh,
thank you. I'm more than happy to share, and a lot of the jobs that I've had in the past were from other artists. So I find, most artists are more than even if they're going to apply for the same thing as you, they'll give each other a heads up and say, and I've found that, and I do the same, and I think it's quite reassuring. And I think obviously I'm sure there's some artists that are horrible people, but I'm yet to meet them, or they hid it very well. So okay, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
you can ask questions in the chat box as well if you want.
Yeah, yes, please do. Yeah, so sharing equipment with colleagues as well can be a good idea, because some things cost lots of money, and if you've got a good little team of people, you could share lights with somebody, or share, I don't know, if you don't use certain things very often, it can be a lot more cost effective and just practical and nice to have someone to bounce off, because it can be a really lonely world being a visual artist or being any kind of artist, because there's a lot of time working by yourself, and especially now during lockdown we're even more isolated. Are there any networks that you would recommend being involved with, and where do you find these other networks? I would say depends what type of art you're doing, to which networks might be the most suitable. There are because there's specific ones. There's some really good Arts for Health ones, and your local council will probably have one, definitely. But Romy, if you explain what kind of artwork you're involved in, I can definitely make some suggestions, or what area you're working and living in as well. That would be helpful for me to answer your question fully. But yeah, the Arts Council website is really, really good, and but then there are other ones as well, and I find that if you sign up to their newsletters, I find that a lot easier than sort of searching the internet randomly. And then as time goes on, I might unsubscribe from certain places because it doesn't really suit me. Ooh, Arts Connect is quite a good one.
Arts Connect is fine. We've got some time.
Okay.
I can add in there, Jamila. Arts Connect is definitely a good one as well, and even signing up to our Culture Central newsletter.
Yes.
Because we're always posting information about other artworks and networks, and even including from the theatre companies, any other art companies. So you can find quite useful information there as well. And you can sign up by going onto our website, culturecentral.co.uk.
Yeah, that's a brilliant one. And I've been on that one since probably March, since the Cultural Central one, and the networks to other organisations that I wasn't aware of in the West Midlands has been really good as well. So and it's regular as well. It's only like you're once or twice a week, and it's in nice sections, so it's manageable. So you're like, oh, do I want to look at funding at the moment? No, I don't. I hate funding applications. So I might skip past that.
No worries.
No, Paige.
Paige, yeah.
I just wanted to ask a question in person instead of typing it.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, you're so cool. I love everything you're saying. It's really helpful.
Oh, good. That's very sweet.
I just wanted to ask, so like you talked a little bit about like borrowing stuff from other people, like lights and things, and how other artists can be really helpful for you. Like, do you think it's really important then to keep in touch regularly with other artists and like have a network like among that? And like, is it worth like sending out emails or messages to people that you know are probably going to be helpful to you later down the line? Just like,
yeah, definitely. And I think that it's not, there'll be skills that you will have and knowledge that you have about things that it will always be a two-way street. I mean, my lecturer from university, and I left uni in 2001, occasionally will still have a look at things for me if I ask him to, and he will sometimes send me his work to have a look at. I'm obviously going to say it's great, and but I think that it just can be so lonely sometimes, especially now, and we're not. Most people are making artwork about themselves and their viewpoint, but we're not an island. So even if you get some information from somebody or they offer you something that's not relevant, it's still nice to have those connections. And I think there are there is it's on Facebook, I think there was a artist swapping supplies website on there where people be like, well, I've got this paint, I never use it, does anyone want it? And then someone be like, I never use my easel, do you want it? And it was all free as well. So I think maybe I'm living in a fantasy world, but I think in general in the art world, especially in the Midlands, I think it's very incestuous. Everyone knows each other, and even if they don't know you personally, they'll know someone else that works for your place. And I think that it's very supportive and helpful. And there's a lot of things that can be really expensive and tedious. And things like the other day, I designed a font because I'm very passionate about fonts, which is very weird. But somebody started to send me some information about how I could get it copyrighted and stuff if I ever needed to, and I didn't ask for them to do that. They just said, oh, I like your font, maybe you could think about that. And it was, there's definitely even if it's I definitely contact people you like their work or you like their approach and things like that. And I think it's always nice to hear someone say, oh, I like something that you're doing there, how are you doing that? It's just really nice. Yeah, and I'm on the mentor scheme as well from Cultural Central. So I have a mentor, and it's been a brilliant sounding board to have somebody else. And she doesn't necessarily give me advice. I mean, she has shaken her head at me because I still haven't applied for the Arts Council Development Fund. But that was a really good programme to get involved in as well. So, I can't hear you. You're muted. Oh, God.
Okay, no, I was just saying, if you want any more information about the mentoring scheme page, you can get that on our website as well.
So yes, but I am going to send you all the notes because I did not get through everything. But public liability insurance. I would just quickly mention that if you are going to work with groups, you will need public liability insurance, and Axis have that, Axis Web, and AN as well, and they've got brilliant networks on their websites as well. So I would definitely have a mixture of everybody's, especially local ones as well. Local ones are even better as well. So but obviously very supportive of Cultural Central. That's a really good one, and it's a good hub. Even if you don't have the other ones, if you just have this one, it's a good hub for other things as well, because you can get overloaded. And I've definitely signed up for a million networks and newsletters and then just felt like, oh my God, my inbox is groaning and I'm not dealing with things, and I signed up for a course and I didn't read the notes afterwards, and then you can get all in a tears because you feel overwhelmed, like I should be learning more, I should be there's loads of free courses out there, I should be taking advantage of it. And there is loads, and I've attended loads, but you also need to be really mindful about when's good times for you and what you need right now as well. And a lot of these things, they'll be recorded and you can access them at a later stage. So I think, with no real sticking to the structure of my plan, I think I might have finished. So thank you very much for your patience, and I hope I had some practical tips in there for you, because that's what I like from a course. I like to have practical, like, what can I do with this information? So I did ping pong because it's a very complex issue. But I would say thank you very much, the main thing is there is definitely support out there, and you don't have to know everything. And just because you feel confident in one area, you don't have to know everything at all, because there's always a way around it, and there's always someone else to support you. And we're really lucky as well in the Midlands, because there's a lot of free support as well. So we're very lucky. I think I might have stopped rambling now.
Thank you, Jamila. Thank you for that. That's been really useful and insightful, and I hope you all enjoyed that. Like Jamila said, there will be notes that we can send around at some point, hopefully this week or next week. But no, thank you all.
Okay, thank you. I'll put some links as well on the bottom of my notes that are things that I think will be useful based on what we've talked about. But yeah, if you've got any questions, you can email me as well. And if I don't know, I probably know someone that will know, and I'll harass them. So, okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you all.
Okay, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. All the way down.